and were involved in the not a
Second attempt
resurrection,
for a murder.
but a rejuvenation, a relifing of a once proud Drow warlord, now turned possibly even more proud, some kind of elf with psychic powers?
Refurbished.
Yeah. It somehow got even worse in that sort of a sense. He's even possibly more insane than ever, but we will find out more about that later.
They just
Drunk
have to
with
leave
power.
Yes. Well,
So in
We'll-
all reality, you welcome Real for murdering you.
yeah, there's entirely there is a possibility that he will thank you while looking down at your corpse, possibly one day. But
Okay, let's see what Ormus turns into.
well, that day, unfortunately, or fortunately, possibly, perhaps, is not today. But the bulk of you, you all had kind of split up a little bit. One person going one particular direction, and other people going to talk to the queen. Or no, wait, you all went to a bar. That's right, you went to the Iron Gentleman. I
Yep.
apologize, I'm all over the place today.
Well,
The bulk
Molly
of you
did.
went to the Iron Gentleman, and some of the rest went off to try and find where Fionn had gone off to. Fionn, of course, being had become frustrated with basically a lot of things, the current situation, himself mostly, and had stormed off to commune with nature or himself. You're not really sure, but he had gone off, and some of you had gone off to find him. And thanks to buying, Aladrin is known to be, or at least he was, in some kind of tent room with a woman. But we'll get to that as well. It's all over the place. You guys are just a jumble. I'm looking at my notes and I'm like, wait, did that actually happen? This doesn't make any sense. Anyway, so let's see. I believe Ormus and who else was going to look for Fionn?
Me, Lee.
Ormus and Lee were going off to find Fionn. Molly Mort, were you were you still at the Iron Gentleman?
Yeah, I would just Mark and Jacob. Have a little bit of a need to rewind a bit.
Mm-hmm. And I believe we left it off at Ormus and Lee had just arrived at Irini's house.
That sounds right. We were at least walking there.
Yeah.
No, we went there. We were on our way to the.
You're
cabin,
going to the
because-
cabin now.
Yeah.
You had gone to
Because-
Irini's house, now you're going to the cabin. I apologize. Normally I
I
try
remember
to
the cinnamon rolls.
yes, the cinnamon rolls. I tried to listen to it again, but I've just been so busy this week. I apologize. I just forgive me for the opening. But
Yeah.
so Ormus, Fionn, Ormus and Lee going to search Molly Mort at the Iron Gentleman, enjoying herself. And
God.
she was also there with. Did you?
Jacob and
Okay.
Mark.
Huh?
Jacob and Mark.
Yeah, you were there with Jacob and Mark, and Zilra was also away, and I think, thankfully, Mika did not go to the bar. So, that is approximately the situation we are in. And Lee and Ormus, on your way to the cabin, being fairly perceptive of the world, you hear odd giggling
Does
in the
Lee
woods.
notice? Does Lee notice?
Well, almost certainly Ormus does.
That's true.
Yeah, it is clearly a giggle, a giddy giggle, in fact. Possibly even several giddy giggles. A gaggle of giddy giggles.
Oh,
I'm
Jesus.
sure.
You trying to come up with another tongue twister?
Yeah.
I just might if I keep thinking of more G words before you answer. A gigantuan
There it is.
gaggle of giddy giggles, gallivanting through the gorest.
Guys, I'm starting to
Gore.
smell toast.
What do you do with this information?
I kind of
Honestly-
stop for a second and look around, like,
You see
the fuck?
this just the plain kind of the bleary kind of early mid-late spring era kind of woods. Like this it's just doesn't look anything unusual. You don't see anything giggly.
you don't by any chance know if Theon is involved with children, do you?
are you asking Lee that?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think so. I mean, I was gonna ask Ormus. I mean, like, how are things between him and Lee right now? I imagine this was a fairly awkward walk.
If we actually had the opportunity, I was gonna have a chat with you. But
Yeah.
then that
Certainly
happened.
would have the
Like,
opportunity.
oh, shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'd start off by being just
So what's
with the
going
awkward
on?
silence.
Yeah, I'm like, so what's going on?
Well, on our way back, a few days, had time to think. And, well, I think you should see this. And hopefully, maybe sway your decision a little bit. Maybe it won't. If it doesn't, I'll fully understand.
Well,
And at that
tell me
point,
whatever you can. Like I said, I want you to be completely open and honest with us from now on. Anything you
Well,
can tell
I
us,
always-
you can tell us.
I always have been open and honest with you guys.
That's
It
not
just,
well. You haven't told us
To-
everything though.
to be
and
fair,
that's what I want.
yeah. To be fair, you guys didn't bother to ask until, murdered somebody. In my
That's
defense.
not
But
necessarily fair. They don't expect us to ask.
either way, and seemingly out of nowhere, I just kind of whip my hand and pull out the contract.
Okay.
This is my version of the contract.
okay.
I will
Your
allow you
pact.
to read it. My pact, yes. And hopefully, it will allow you to understand that walking away from it is a little bit harder to do than you think.
All right.
It's not necessarily that I can't, it's I don't feel I should. I'll follow another god. I don't mind.
Well, if you
I
have
don't-
your reasons, if you can explain, Hey, here,
Well-
I'll put on my reading glasses.
Well, here you go. It full thing, just on the table now.
All right.
And do you have an actual written contract yonder, or did you just summarize?
It was basically to summarize. Well, does Lee read Draconic?
Yeah.
Or not Draconic, excuse me. Some sort of demonic deep speech, a language of the
Abyssal.
devils. Yeah, abyssal.
Well, infernal is the level of devils, eh?
Infernal. Then I'm trying to remember what the language of the devils is. There's so
The
many.
demons is abyssal.
I know that abyssal.
Yeah, demons is abyssal, but I think there's some good crossover. Abyssal is from the abyss, so demons. Infernal.
We're
is,
gonna go with infernal. It's an
Yeah.
infernal.
I can't read infernal.
Yeah.
I'll look at it. Can I make a religion check to see if anything at all, even remotely, like symbols or whatever, looks familiar?
Yeah, you can go ahead and make a religion check, or open your senses, however you want to do it.
Yeah, I'll open my senses and I rolled a 9 religion.
Okay. You definitely recognize the scratches of some sort of infernal writing. You also recognize the dark auburn of dried blood in a signature that might be considered to be Oramus. And you also get a very strong, burnt cinnamon scent Kisses is unpleasant.
Do my eyes
Like
eyes
at-
turn to water?
A little bit. At first, just a little bit of the smell. It might even be pleasant. But it's so, even tempting. But this is so overwhelmingly strong.
Accidentally.
Ugh.
I thought it was gonna be, or I thought it was in common or abyssal, which I do understand and read. So that's not bad.
Well,
It can
abyssal
be
then.
abyssal. Yeah.
I'm sure there's a translation to something that works for yours too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Abyssal is the language of the demons, but this could be different in Yonder's world,
Yeah.
And Infernal is the language of the devils.
It's
Like
in
that.
several international hell languages,
Yeah, like
including Infernal, Abyssal, Dutch. All the normal hell languages.
well, I always imagined
All the normal
that,
ones.
like Abyssal and Infernal were like Spanish to Portuguese. It's very similar, but you couldn't necessarily read all of one if you just knew the other.
Yeah, well, Infernal. Sort of. I mean, Infernal is much more closely related, oddly enough, to Celestial.
Yeah.
It's like a combination between Infernal, Abyssal, and Celestial are very similar. Infernal is like if Celestial and Abyssal had a terrible, scary baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, it's got like all those languages. Do you read Infernal, Abyssal, Celestial, anything?
I don't read any of that, so I'm gonna hand it back to him, and I'm gonna say, "Can you just summarize it for me? I can't read it."
Oh, my apologies. I will
It's
then
fine.
cast tongues on Lee and read from the actual contract, so he can
Certainly.
understand me.
Short version, the contract essentially says, and this is your original contract with Mephistopheles, correct?
No, Asmodeus. I didn't get
the
a
one with
contract.
Asmodeus.
Yeah, I didn't
Well,
get a
you
copy.
did have
of-
one, but he had it. Yeah, exactly. He had it. And it went wink, wink, missing, which is a big part of your defense. But the
And then I
contract,
specifically requested one from Asmodeus. I'm like, I'm not making that mistake again.
yes, the contract with Asmodeus essentially says that he will give you boundless dark power, and will also give you a certain and guaranteed place in hell upon your death or your choosing, whichever first. And under the requirements, they're pretty simple. And I guess, Lee, you can read along with it, I guess, but otherwise you're going to have to just take Ormus's word for it if you can't specifically read it. But of course you did cast tongues, but I don't know.
I am trusting him.
I'll like bring my finger across. That's like I'm reading to a child, like so they can see the words, know where I'm at, and
Yeah.
essentially do that.
Requirement 1 is suffer not the demon. Whenever you see a demon, whenever you encounter a demon, destroy the demon or be destroyed. Trying to destroy the demon. Suffer not a demon.
Lee will nod at this one, like that sounds pretty good.
Mm-hmm. And point number 2. Oh man, look at me not forgetting what it is. Point number 2. Let's see. It was not to suffer a demon. What was the other one, Normus? Again, I apologize, guys. I've been working a lot this week. I'm all over the place.
Okay, don't worry
You're all
about it.
good, man. You're all good. Not to do an evil deed, basically.
Oh yeah. Well, not so much to not do evil deeds, but to be honest with him and be responsible to him. Him being, the devil. But it does have some side points of conduct unbecoming, essentially having to do with do not reap souls that belong to other gods unless they bring it on themselves, unless they encourage their in. So don't go around killing people, especially not innocent people, and most especially not innocent people that are part of other religions. It goes on to various other points of the contact, essentially having to do with just don't get on the bad side of other gods, don't have all these kinds of other issues. Be honest where you can. Just it's a bit strange. I mean, looking at it, really, if you look at a lot of it, these are These are some pretty generic and fairly agreeable, almost like paladin vows. It's
Yeah,
like a paladin oath.
I think Lee is kind of recognizing that and kind of nodding along and like, no, that's weird. Well,
Yeah,
that's weird.
it's weird, yeah, but I mean, it does have certain edges. Again, there's different parts of it. Like, don't reap souls of those that are following other gods. It does include the option of possibly reaping souls. It's like,
Yeah,
paladins don't really. It's different. It's certainly darker, but there is a strong resonance to the sort of vows that paladins take.
mm,
And some of them, I mean, who wants to suffer a demon? Some of these kind of almost have to agree with.
oh yeah, like Lee definitely agrees with the don't suffer demons thing
Hmm.
because like, what good are they going to be up to?
And after reading it, I'll kind of look at him and be like, can you kind of understand why I'm always defending him now, and I like see why I want to continue this contract? Like it's
Can I make like a? I don't think an insight would be right here. I mean, either an insight or a religion to kind of get an idea of like what in religion or whatever would tell me. Does this sound like Asmodeus? Does this sound like something, you know, of my understanding of what makes sense?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead and give a roll of some kind. Either some insight or something in the realm of wisdom or intelligence. See what we
Okay.
get.
Well,
Or
damn.
religion, of course.
I rolled real bad on that. How about a 7 religion?
Okay. Well, obviously, if this is from Asmodeus, this whole thing must be some kind of a trick. He doesn't do anything that isn't in his own interests. That's the entire part of Asmodeus. That doesn't mean that Ormus is necessarily bad, but he's still a pawn on the wrong side of the board if he's working for Asmodeus. It doesn't mean that he's necessarily doing, it doesn't make him the bad guy. But this doesn't make him the good guy. And-
I mean,
Yeah.
that was kind of Lee's original assertion.
Argument. Yeah.
It just kind of just strengthens his, what he was thinking to begin with. Of like, Ormus is. I think Lee will say this. Ormus, you're a man of passion and of honor. But I think even with this, you may not be following the wrong side, or you might be following the wrong side. Yeah.
how do you mean?
I think even trying to do what's right when allied with the wrong people can lead to bad things happening. Because that's the thing, is people like Asmodeus, well, rather beings like Asmodeus, they know of honor. And they know exactly how to twist it in a way that perverts it and makes it dark and for their own ends and darkness. I think as long as you wield that blade, as long as you work under him, there's still a danger of you falling.
There,
I'll
there.
go ahead.
The thing is, though, like I know I'm going to hell. I've been sent on that path ever since a child. What I do up here, so long as it doesn't violate this contract, will
Can
leave
I-
a good mark on the world in some form of the way, and that's what I'm going to continue to strive for. Once I'm down there, my soul's forfeit, and I've come to terms and accept that.
Let me ask you this though. If you want to do good, why ally yourself with evil? When there are options to ally yourself with good. Why do you
I'm
want to go to
Still
hell?
allying myself with good. That's the thing. You guys are all good. I'm an ally of you guys. I can worship another god. I could still keep the power of Asmodeus. I could still try and continue to do good up here while I'm alive.
do you really think that if you have the option to get similar power from a god that's working towards something good and not lose your soul, wouldn't you rather do that?
I
If
don't
you
know.
have the option to be redeemed and saved, and
This has been all I've known my whole life. I don't know what it's like to be anything but.
I'll put my hand on his shoulder and I'll say, "Well, this is your opportunity to learn because I'm here to help you and to teach you if you're willing to accept it."
Like I said, like I'm willing to follow another god, and that doesn't necessarily violate the contract. I hope. So as long as I don't go against what's written here, make sure I destroy and kill all demons, and basically make sure that I don't reap souls from other gods.
Yeah.
As long as I don't do any of those, this contract's still bound.
Ormus, first of all, I want you to understand that I want you to want to serve another god, because if your heart's not in it, there's no point in swearing yourself to a god if you yourself don't agree with those ideals. An oath is all the way down to the core. It's a matter of your heart. It's a matter of what's right.
Armus, you hear giggling at this point, off in the woods, as you all are walking through the woods and having this discussion.
I kind of stopped.
can I just-
Do you hear that?
Lee doesn't notice at first, and I'm just going to say this last part real quick. Oaths are here to bind us, to bind good men with honor and passion, that passion that brings us strength, to bind us to do the right thing. It sounds like these are good oaths, but in dangerous hands.
Lee, that all sounded really good, but I fully expected you to say, "Now, Ormus, don't try to change the subject."
Yeah, and then he's like, what did you say about giggling?
Did you not hear that? Well, listen closely.
Lee pulls out his earplugs.
Oh my god! The whole time you weren't even listening to what I was saying. God, it's so like you.
There's the clear sound of whispering and giggling.
Lee can read lips.
Fair
That's
point.
really weird. Can I make an insight check to see if I feel creeped out?
Sure.
I don't need to do that. I am creeped out.
I rolled a natural 1. How do I feel?
Pretty creepy. Pretty creepy to hear giggling coming from the woods.
Lee jumps up into Ormus's arms like Scooby-Doo.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ! Not the time! What'd you say?
I said, "How heavy is Lee again?"
Heavy
He's
enough.
probably crushing me.
With armor and a full equipment like he's probably wearing, 250 pounds.
I'm barely keeping aloft, I think.
And probably quickly trying to drop him and put him down in a gentle fashion.
Yeah, if you just drop Lee, he'll probably fall over. I have a 0 dex.
I have a 12 strength, so I'm barely, okay.
Alright, I'll climb down. That's really weird. Can I look around, make an investigation check? See if I find anything?
More of a perception in this case to try and get an idea of where it really is.
Okay.
Investigation being more to understand something you have found, but you haven't found it yet.
Okay. Alright. I guess I'll make a perception then. I need not have bothered.
Indeed. Ormus, would you like to do a perception check? You can always just say passive and, see what happens.
I don't think my passive is high enough.
Okay, well, would you like to make a perception check to maybe look around and listen a little bit more?
Yes. There's the plus sign. 6. The fucking dice are outside right now. Holy shit, 24.
It's pretty darn impressive. So as you look around, you can see the lake itself is about a mile south or so of kind of Hope proper. And as you're heading down the path, going through, taking a bit of a shortcut to a cabin that you've been to several times, you see off to the east a bit. You see it. I mean, it's a little early for it, but you almost see sunset and giggling's coming from the light.
From the light of the sunset?
Yeah, but the sun's actually not that low, but it's like the oranges and reds streaming sideways of a sunset or a sunrise, but the sun is too high for that, and the giggling is coming from there.
Lee is just kind of looking around, and he says, "Arata."
No
Oh,
response.
Hey.
You just hear some giggling and whispering. You know, the giggle is occasional. It's not constant. Although there are occasionally where they join, but there's just the here and there sort of tee, kind of thing.
Ormus, do you want to check this out, or should we go get Molly? Ormus?
Would that be a decision that Lee would want to make on his own?
Yeah, sorry, the alarm went off in the wash tank. So I had to run out there, mute myself so you guys didn't have to hear that flaring noise.
No
Thank you.
problem. Do you want to check this out, or
This-
do you want to go get Molly?
This kind of concerns me more in the sense of we're kind of trying to find Theon as well right now.
Yeah, weird giggling in the woods sounds more like a Fion or Molly thing, so I don't think I'm an expert in any of that.
You know
Neither am
roughly
I.
where Molly is.
What do you think? Let me go
How
grab
far
her?
away do you think we are?
Less than a mile, so somewhere in the neighborhood of maybe, in terms of a quick run, it'd be probably half mile there, half mile back, maybe less.
Do you want to do that? I mean, I am a little worried the whatever this is will be gone, but I also don't know if it's a good idea to head into something like this without somebody who knows anything about it. Because I don't know anything about weird giggling in the woods, but I bet Molly and Fiona would. I bet my sister would too.
I'm half and half on this decision because, like you said, it very well may be gone by the time that we're back. This very well could signify something kind of important that we might need to act upon immediately.
He pulls out a coin and he says odd or even, or high or low. Yeah.
Don't you mean heads or tails?
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Heads, and we stay.
Alright, I rolled a 9, so that's odd. So I think that means we go. That means we go back and get Molly, right?
I don't know. I thought you actually had a coin.
I would say odds and tails. So yeah.
Yeah, that's what I would
Sure.
say.
Why not?
Alright.
But that means we go get Molly, right? I think let's go get
Lee
Molly.
says while backing up.
Yeah, Lee starts walking towards town. He says, "You coming?" The coin has spoken.
Lee breaks out into a bit of a trot. Follow the coin! Follow the coin! And soon
Lee
enough,
picks up Ormus and puts him on his back and starts running.
Yeah, I was gonna say I hate this
Yeah.
phone.
Soon enough, a breathless Ormus and Lee burst into the front door of the Iron Gentleman. It's gotten a little bit more crowded, and when you guys come in, people are a little bit surprised. Oh, easy there, son.
Oh, sorry, excuse me.
I think the
Gnome,
first
have you
thing. Wait.
seen them?
Well, hold on. I was gonna say, as soon as we burst into the door, Lee's like, "We're giggling in the woods. Where's Molly?"
I think I would have reflexively whipped out let's say the Wand of Wonders.
Sure.
I say, "Molly, there's weird giggling in the woods. We have to go."
She trips up a little bit in her haste, but she runs to come with you guys since it seems urgent.
Mark
We
goes,
will
"Can
call
we
you.
go? Can we go?"
Yeah, if you want, come on.
You gotta keep up. Go.
Yeah, if you can keep up.
Mark and Jacob do their best to keep up as you all run relatively full speed. It varies. Some are faster than others.
I'll jog. If Molly is having a hard time keeping up, she could probably jump to keep up.
Well, that's the thing, is Molly could actually probably be faster than Lee.
That's true. Jumping.
Yeah, through jumping or wild shape.
Oh, that's true.
I'm just gonna have somebody carry me.
Yeah, Lee will scoop her up if no one else does.
That's fair. But soon enough, you get to the edge of the woods again. You go down the side, the same shortcut that you were pretty sure you had taken before, and you go along and you think, okay, about how far were we? It's a little tough. You just kind of keep heading south. Wait, we went past that stump. That's where Orma showed me the weird smelly contract with the cinnamon. Okay, we're coming down here. And you see a little light in the distance. It's continuing to go, and as the sun is getting lower and lower, it's a little tougher to tell. Although it is somewhat darker in the area, the rest of the area is starting to blend more with sunset. And it's a bit strange. But you're
I'm
pretty
not
sure
stopping.
that's where it is.
Yeah.
You just start running towards it.
Yeah, Lee,
Yep.
once Lee sees it, he's gonna point and say, "What's that?"
Molly's eyes twinkle and she says, probably fairies or fae or something. Let's go see them.
Did a
All right.
quick 180, and I'm gone.
Lee
Fairies?
says,
Nope.
"It's okay, Lee. Molly will protect you." It's okay, Ormus.
I was about to say, it says Lee to himself.
He says to himself first, and then he says, "Oh, Ormus, you too."
So do you continue to run towards the fairy light?
I'll wait for Ormus because I think Lee thinks that somebody should keep an eye on Ormus
Yeah,
because he's in a sensitive place right now.
I'll also urge you to not run at them, but approach them slowly and not try not to scare them.
Molly says, "No, Lee, settle down. Fairies are fragile."
Oh, you think fairies are fragile? I suspect not.
Ormus, do you want to stay behind? Mark and Jacob, you can see, are coming along, but are quite a distance, so you could just wait. They'll be happy to keep you company, I'm sure.
Like I said, I think Lee will turn around and look at Ormus to see if he's coming.
But Ormus, do you keep going?
Yeah, I'll go with them.
Okay.
Like, I heard fairies, I'm not going alone. Mm-mm.
Hey, Ormus,
Go on.
Yo.
from what I know of fairy tales, we need to hold hands or we could get lost from each other. So Lee will reach out and for Ormus to grab his hand.
Happily.
And I'll wait on the rest of them to get there too, so we can all stay together.
Can
You
I
actually wait for Mark and Jacob, too?
Oh yeah.
can I
That's
make
fantastic.
a religion or some kind of roll to see if I actually know what this might be from?
Of course. And the sun is...
Good roll.
Oh, go on. What'd you get roll?
What kind of roll would this be? Religion, Arcana, something like that?
It depends on what kind of information you're looking for. Religion would be acceptable, maybe even, somewhat to nature, Arcana, maybe, history. I mean, there's a lot of things that might apply.
I can try an Arcana.
Knowing that it's best I can really do is a 9.
Okay.
I'll do an Arcana. I got a
shame.
+6.
It's a shame that Fiona we're looking for because Fiona has advantage on wisdom checks and intelligence checks to track and recall information on Fae, Fiends, and Undead. So
Yeah, it is unfortunate.
Ormus and Lee probably would have a little bit of knowledge on something like this because Ormus because of his race and Lee because of his grandmother's race.
I mean, it's possible. You
So-
roll if you want.
I'll make a roll to think about the fairy tales that my grandmother told me when I was little.
Sure.
I'll go with Arcana.
I'm
Then
gonna
18.
say. Oh, sorry.
It's fine. Go ahead, Lee.
Oh, is this a religion or an arcana? Because it's either an 11 or a 15.
It depends on what kind of information you want.
I want to
did
know
arcana.
what this looks like to me, so I'm going to say arcana.
Okay, yeah, you can do Arcana.
Oh shit.
11.
Okay, so overall, through the Arcana rolls, Ormus and Lee, you know that through various other fairy tales, and Mollymort to you as well with that, even with that, you know that I mean, there's strange lights and giggling in the woods. This is textbook fairy nonsense. This is something. This is clearly a fairy tale happening thing. Clearly fairies of some kind.
Let's hold hands.
Holding hands might help, yeah.
I will whisper to Lee to make sure not to step in any fairy rings.
Lee will keep a lookout, and he's like, "Well, if you're on my shoulder, just you guide me. I'll trust you."
I'll keep an eye out for fairy rings.
And I guess Lee will start to lead the way if we're all together.
I am
You're
doing
following
a
with this guy?
hard look for Theon.
Oh
'Cause
yeah.
this scares me even more about him.
You all hold hands, including Mark and Jacob, and I'm assuming who are you? Are you Voldemort? Are you on Lee's shoulders, or are you separate from your own, or
No,
on your own?
These shoulders.
Yeah, I'm
Alright.
depending on you to keep me from falling flat on my face and killing myself in this wonderland.
You walk slowly into the woods,
Clink.
holding hands, looking around, and the sun is getting lower and lower, and the sunset, the light of the sunset is starting to match with the light that you're going towards, and you continue to hear little giggles, and you draw closer towards it, and you see in the woods
I don't like this.
a ring of sort of pinkish red. There's some that are a little red, some that are a little purple, some that are a little pink, some are various things, various almost like posies, like a flower, like a ring of flowers, a very large ring of flowers around a tree. And the giggling is getting louder and louder as you approach it. This is some kind of a fairy ring.
Do not step in that fairy ring, Lee.
Do not
Lee
accept
will
any
nod.
gifts either.
By the way, this is just something funny that occurred to me. I was gonna type it out, but you know how you have like a bell on a staff when you're like walking through the woods to like warn of your passing,
Or to herd pigs, but go on.
or to herd pigs. No one. We don't need anything like that to warn of our
We got
passing
Lee.
because
Yeah,
we
you got
got Lee. Because Lee's making
Yeah.
so much noise.
It works. It totally does.
Lee is the bell on the
But-
stick.
Yeah, you see this ring. It's surrounding trees. It's made of sort of red and pink and white, different shades, almost polka dotted, some striped, posy kind of flowers. And it's a big circle, maybe 15, 20 feet around. And it seems to be around a tree,
It's so pretty.
giggling.
What do we do? I looked at Molly.
I have a question.
Yes?
Does Ormus still have tongues lasting?
I think
How
it was
long
only 10 minutes.
does tongues last?
I think
Like
it's just 10 minutes.
10 minutes? Probably
Yeah,
not.
it would have worn off.
Darn.
Lee will look at Molly and be like, "What do we do? It's very pretty, but also I've never been so terrified of pretty flowers."
I will use I will use Druidcraft or Minor Illusion, I guess, to
Mhm.
write little like words in the sky in Druidic words of greeting.
Okay. You write
Uh,
druidic runes of greeting in the sky. There doesn't seem to be a response.
Hey, Molly. Sorry, just real quick. Can you try talking again? I tried turning down my sensitivity because I think I was picking you up.
Oh, yes, is it working?
Okay, you guys are still able to hear Molly now?
Yes,
Okay, good. Sorry.
at least I can.
Go ahead.
You know, frequently that entering these rings, that there's some discussion of it. Those that believe think that part of the soul is transported to the fairy realm, and then you just start to be able to see the the fey realm, while also seeing the material plane, and that it sometimes it drives people mad, sometimes people disappear and never come back. Other people think that it's a curse. Other people think that it just kind of it is involving certain mushrooms or flowers, and it just kind of basically gives them a bad trip, so to speak. I mean, there's different thoughts and theories, but
So all bad.
No.
What I'm
generally
picking
it's
up.
considered unpleasant. Well, rather, some people that haven't gone in consider it unpleasant. But those that have gone in, though insane they may be, insist that it's the best decision they've ever made. Those that have come back, at least.
Okay. I am going to climb down from Lee's shoulders, take the roll of hemp rope from my bag, tie one end around myself.
What are you doing? You're the one who told us not to go in that damn tank.
I know, but
Follow
trust
your own
Molly.
advice.
I
We
think
can't lose you.
I think she's just warning for caution, and I'll let Molly tie the rope around me if she wants.
Do you, by chance, want to? I mean, you've come to the rings. It might be that it might be that the laughter's not even coming from here. It might be that you can maybe walk around it or go past it or circle it, something. Might be that you don't have to go into it at all. Might be that this is a terrible decision.
I'm going to take a wild guess and say it's probably coming from the ring, but I guess I'll roll a perception check to check.
Sure. Go ahead and roll a perception check.
While we're at it, I rolled a little while ago for Childlike Wonder just to see how good Lee's Childlike Wonder still is. It's just a roll minus your Wisdom modifier.
And what'd you get?
15.
I guess that's good, childlike wonder.
I think that's pretty good.
Malamart, what you getting for perception?
I rolled a 10.
Okay. Having climbed down from your very friendly mount, while the rest of the group is tightly holding hands and being even too careful to approach it, staying a good distance to your caution, not even getting close. You creep a little bit closer and you start to go around and you start to look at it, not going into it, just getting closer. One end of the rope in your hand, other end of the rope, I'm guessing, in Lee's hand.
Yeah, I'll hold it.
Yeah, Lee's holding the one end, but the one end is tied around me, not
Got
just
you.
my hand.
Tight it, got it. And you go up close to the ring, and you kind of look around the ring, and you kind of start to circle the ring, and you see a foot on the other side of the large tree.
The
And
tree in the ring?
the tree in the ring that the ring is
no.
surrounding. You see a booted foot, or perhaps a boot. You can't really tell, but a boot, probably with a foot. A familiar boot, possibly holding a familiar foot.
Careful going around the tree because in some stories, going around a tree 3 times will put you into the Fey realm.
That's true.
I kind of thought it was only if you danced around the tree 3 times.
That might be right. I'm not sure. I think it's
Almost
also
any amount of dancing in the woods will cause you to go insane.
That's fair.
But I think they're looking at the order wrong. But if you continue to go around, you can see that sitting almost slumped on the other side of the tree is your friend Fionn.
Hey! I don't see him.
Guys? Well, why were you coming this way again?
Does Molly just say, like, guys, and, like, can I still see Molly?
Yeah, you can still see her.
Okay.
She's just
we-
standing there.
we were looking for Fion, and then we heard weird giggling in the woods.
And you can still hear the occasional giggle, clearly coming from the circle.
I think I found him.
Where? And I'll take a step forward.
I'm gonna hop up into a tree and try to find a nice long branch to poke him with.
Okay, you magically leap up into a tree and grab onto a branch, and you are able to fasten a kind of 10-foot pole. Surely this will be enough. And the rest, if you sort of circumnavigate the ring a bit, still holding hands, obviously, for safety, you can begin to see the form of Fionn clearly in mid Rip Van Winkle on the other side of the tree. He is napping something fierce.
If-
Or he's dead. You can't really tell.
At
One or
that,
the other.
seeing Fion laying under a tree, I think Lee would be overcome with like, oh no, Fion is hurt, and he'd let go and start walking forward.
I would not let you step in that ring.
I try to grab him.
Who's gonna? Okay, you guys are gonna stop Lee. Yeah, if you guys stop Lee, he'll stop. But
Yeah, you hold on to him, and it very quickly devolves into sort of from holding hands to just holding each other
is
as
it romantic?
Oramus, Lee, Jacob, Mark, and Molly Mort just sort of hold each other. And Mark says, "What do we do?"
We gotta get him out, right?
Somehow. Does
Young,
anybody have...
Mm-hmm.
is the giggling coming from him?
No, not necessarily. I mean, you're kind of. He seems to be entirely unmoving, and
Guys,
it doesn't seem like it's his giggle for sure. And it's
Oh,
different
yeah.
shades of giggle. Sometimes it's low, sometimes it's high, but usually
Oh.
various bits of high. But it seems to
50
be
shades of
coming
giggle.
from somewhere in the circle. For all you know, it's coming from the flowers. Like it's coming from someplace in the circle, but it's moving, and sometimes there's multiple giggles, and it's tough to tell.
guys, we need to make sure he's okay. One of us needs to go forward and check on him. I mean, we can all go together.
Does anybody have any spells to move objects?
I've got Thunderous Smite. That moves
Does anybody
objects.
have any non-harmful moves of ways of moving objects, people, things, without touching them?
Give me a second.
You've got Thorn Whip.
Mark shrugs and says, "I just mostly burn things.
It's okay.
I've
we
never
still-
felt so helpless."
You're
Guys.
here for support, Mark. You're not helpless. You're helping us all.
Guys, I think we should just go up to him.
I don't think so, Lee.
That's a terrible idea.
I don't have any ways to move him, but I do have two things that might be helpful.
I have ways to get to him. That's it.
I can cast Daylight and try to wake him up that way, or I can try to cast Dispel Magic.
The spell
Okay.
magic might work, and if it doesn't work for you, I can give it a shot too.
I think Lee would probably point out that daylight might be a little excessive.
And speaking of daylight, the sun is getting lower and lower, and the entirety of the wood starts to take on that sort of orange purple glow as it's starting to get very dark, and the last little bit of sun is streaming through the dense overgrowth above.
I think Lee is starting to get frustrated, and it's like, we gotta get to him, and trying to walk forward again.
I'm not
Yes,
gonna.
I need to be careful.
If
I know, but Fion's right there. We don't even know if he's okay.
We don't know if we'll be okay if we step in that. That's the problem.
guys,
We can't be afraid. We have to help him.
guys,
God damn it.
Yes?
I kind of want to go again.
I think we should. We need to save Fion.
Well, I mean, just me.
I don't... Alone?
Hello?
Alone?
Hello, Lee?
No, Lee is saying alone.
Oh,
Oh, yes, alone.
I was confused.
Yeah, it took me a second to understand what was going on there, but then I caught it.
Yes, I think I should go in alone.
No.
I have faith blood. I can do magic.
I
I'm good
know.
with this stuff.
I know, but I don't want to. I don't want to potentially lose both of you if we can go in together and be safer in numbers.
I
And
don't
Lee-
think we'll be safer in numbers in this kind of situation.
Do what, Yandis?
And Lee, you of course know, as being part elf, you kind of have fairy blood, fey blood as well. So does Ormus.
I
So does
didn't.
Mark and
Get,
Jacob too.
I didn't get the ridiculous amount of Fey blood that my sister did, Lana.
Yeah.
But I've got close family relatives that are incredibly tightly tied to the Fae.
Mm-hmm. Not nearly as much as Mollymort, it would seem.
Oh
But,
no, of course
yeah.
not.
Molly has a weird smile on her face. Lee, this would be such an experience, but this is magic. I don't think it's a good idea for all of us to go into it, but it's a fairy circle.
I think Lee's just kind of concerned and is like, I want to go with you.
Molly
I don't want to split up.
Molly takes his hand and looks up at him with again the same weird smile and says, Lee, you are here because you want to protect Bakata. I left my home because I wanted to experience the world and the magic it holds, and this is a fairy circle.
Yeah, I think we should go in, but just together.
Fairy circles, this kind of magic doesn't give strength in numbers. I think it would be better to have at least somebody out here as an anchor point in case I hold up the rope and say, in case I need to get dragged back out. And I'm tiny, I'm easy to drag back out.
I'll look at Jacob and Mark and say they can hold it.
Jacob nods, and Mark eventually nods. You think that he is also curious, but they both nod and they say, "Yeah, we can. We're strong. We can do it."
I
Why don't we try Molly's idea first? Let her go in first, and if
Okay.
me and you need to go in, we'll back her up.
I'll tell you what. We'll stand outside and you go in first, and if it's safe, you come back out and get us. And if it's not, tug on the rope and we'll pull you out.
If it's safe, I'm going to walk up to Fionn and try to wake him up. And you can see him, so you should be able to see me.
I don't
It's
know
not like
how
a portal.
this works, but I'll stand right here. You can go ahead. We'll wait.
Okay. And she just has such a gleeful grin. And she turns and she steps over the border of the ring.
Okay, Mollymort, as you start to walk towards the ring, as I said before, you were walking south towards the lake, and you now were starting to walk west from the giggling as you're heading towards the sunset. And now you continue towards the sunset again. Your face highlighted in blue, or in orange and red. She's almost silhouetted in the brightness of the setting sun through the thin woods, and underneath this dense, big tree. And as she walks through Mollymort, you see the setting sun disappear, but the orange glow continues. And as you maybe look around, or who knows what, when you get inside, you can see that the sun has moved to the other side. It's now sunrise. And it's roughly the same in the sort of look, except as you look around, there's a lot more than just your friends. You still see your friends there. You still see Fionn there. But you also see thousands of colorful beings of varying sizes that are, some are dancing, some are flitting, and singing, almost in a sort of way. A singing that you couldn't hear before, but you can hear now. It's it's a sort of melody, not so much words, but it's like they're singing feelings and colors, and it's joyous and powerful and amazing. And you you seem to be in some sort of a fey situation. You're not quite sure what to make of it. The rest of you see Molly Mort walk into the ring and then look around. And Molly Mort, would you look still happy? Would you look amazed? How would you look?
Just over the moon.
Oh yeah, she's just eyes fully open. She just looks just astounded, amazed, truly.
I look back at you guys and say, definitely fairies.
Yeah,
She's
Lee's
just
just looking
standing
at
in the ring. Nothing has changed from your perspective.
Lee is just looking at you, extremely tense, like he's about to like jump.
As seeing her, how happy she is and her smile, I'm just gonna kind of lean over to Lee and be like, sometimes it's easy to forget how powerful she is.
Well, of course, you do remember the stories of the legends of people that walk into these things and then just go insane.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
he's
no, but just
like,
seeing like her look like a little kid with that big ass smile, it's just like sometimes it's scary to see how strong she can be.
You can say that again.
I am going to start approaching Jan. I'm going to be careful of any of these colorful folks. And while I am walking towards the
Well, I'll add, none of them are inside the circle. They're all outside of the circle. They're all around the circle.
Are any of them standing behind us?
Yeah, quite a few. In fact, some of them seem to be standing on you. Some of them are dancing on you. Some of them are dancing between your legs. They just seem to be kind of all around you.
Oh man.
all right, well, still,
It's thousands of them.
as I approach Fionn slowly, I am going to say, kind of vaguely directed to these creatures, do any of you speak common or possibly gnomish?
Lee raises his hand and says, "I speak Gnomish."
I speak common.
Those are the only responses you get.
I shrug and kind of try to hum faintly along with one of the tunes they're singing, and can I be a Fionn at this point?
Yeah, you can go over to Fionn, and what would you like to do at Fionn?
I'm gonna look him over, and if he seems like he's just sleeping, or not just sleeping, but if he seems like he's sleeping, then I'm going to put a hand on his shoulder.
Yeah,
Well-
he seems sleeping, and hand on his shoulder. He doesn't seem to move or anything. He doesn't seem to react. It's no different than putting your hand on the shoulder when he is asleep, as he normally is, which he might probably be.
I try to shake his shoulder.
Fionn, you feel yourself being shook.
Go away. Wakes up like that. Counter.
Mm-hmm. You remember feeling almost like a part of you being ripped out, as if it's in a sense like your arms were taken from you. You feel like you were nothing. You feel like you are nothing. You felt awful, but you felt pretty good to sleep. But now you almost feel empty. You feel, this is going to sound strange, and let me know if you're not following. You feel like cotton candy.
Light and fluffy and delicious.
And all full of just air.
And relatively empty, but with potential. Someone might enjoy it.
Okay, so like the inside of Lee's head.
Molly.
That was good.
You can
Molly?
feel the warmth of a summer sunrise on your face. You assume you just slept all night. You can hear music too.
Hey there, Tiny. Could you tell me which direction the sun is in?
Fionn looks around and he points to where the sunrise is. Like, oh, I must have slept on. Oh, wow, okay.
Does he see the fairies?
You do, in fact, as your eyes focus and get adjusted to the bright light that is streaming through, you do begin to see a lot of people around you. A whole lot of people. Thousands of people. And they occasionally will fly, and occasionally they'll throw color at each other, and they seem to be singing and having a joyous time. And you can also see your friends. Your friends are there. There's Lee and Ormus and Jacob and Mark, although they're standing at a bit of a strange distance.
I have to ask, are we also covered in this invisible color that we don't see?
Yes, yeah, like there are seemingly fairies like dancing on your head, and they're dropping little bits of colorful fairy dust. You don't see any of it, but they, in fact, do see it. Color all
Look at
around
that.
and singing and everything.
I'm gonna shout out. Is it safe to
Is-
come over?
Yeah, can we come in?
Fionn, having seen all the people, like, goes immediately into paranoia mode and kind of sits bolt upright and realizes, but after a second realizes that it doesn't seem that there's a threat. Like, I mean, yeah, it's actually quite beautiful.
Lee walks in.
I was gonna put my hand up to indicate like stop, like don't.
Okay, Lee will stop. But he's like right on the edge at this point, and he's still holding Ormus's hand.
Fionn, you are in a fairy ring, and so am I, and I think we should step out of it and see if we still see the fairies. Also, the sun should be over there.
Yonder, can you just clarify on the cotton candy feeling real quick, just for a double check? What I'm thinking.
Sure. So overall, you don't quite know what to make of this. This is a bit strange. It didn't make sense a moment before, where, I mean, clearly you're hallucinating. I mean, there's little people dancing on top of your friends' heads. That's obviously not a thing. But then she says that you're in a fairy ring. I mean, you're a man of tales.
Well, I mean, he's a pure bulk. He grew up with stuff like this, right?
Exactly. It is entirely possible in your empty wandering that you walked into a fairy ring and took a nap, apparently. Looking around, yeah, that seems a bit right. You feel empty, but now this is a completely different feeling. This is a whole different. You still feel empty. You still feel it's like something has just been ripped and torn away from you. That you're just. It's as if you are dissolvable to a force, and you could be crushed into nothing from nothing. You just. It's like you're left as a fog. You're a cobweb. But because in many ways, Fionn, his entire personality was based around his ability, his work, his job. So much of what I think that he thought himself as was through that power. And having lost it, it's as if he is a cobweb that merely resembles his former shape. In his mind, maybe.
Right. I think looking at Fionn, if any of that showed on his face at all, if any of his emotions showed through, I think Lee would probably recognize something is wrong and probably be like, "Do you need healing? Are you okay?" and probably try to take another step forward.
I think I'm physically okay for the most part. I'm different now. I can feel it. Not who I was exactly. I I think I wandered into a fairy ring, and
Why?
it was not intentional. I was just trying to gather myself and do I remember fully what happened with Gilgame?
Yes, you do remember what happened with Gilgame.
Well, I explained that, and I'm like, I was just wandering through the woods trying to gather myself, and kind of had a falling out with Gilgame, and then I explained how it went down, and
I think Lee has probably seen what happens to paladins of broken oaths and what happens to them mentally and physically, and he probably recognized a little bit of that and what happened to Fiona. Yeah, that makes sense.
I think my saving grace was the whole time I was thinking about what Molly had told me and what my childhood was like, what the Feywilds were. And he's kind of stuttering and kind of lost in conversation, and he takes a second to gather himself. The Feywilds were on my mind. Titania was on. I don't think this is a coincidence. I was thinking back to my childhood, my roots, before I became what I was. I don't think this is a coincidence. I think you
And
guys should step through, and we should walk through this.
it sounds like an invitation to me. Lee's just gonna walk into the ring, towing
Okay.
whoever else is holding Ormus and whoever else is holding his hand.
Well, Jacob and Mark have taken the rope from you and are standing still, although Mark looks like he wants to follow.
You gonna come?
Is it okay?
I think
I
so.
promise I won't set anything on fire, or try not
Yeah.
to.
Please don't set anything on fire. But I think Fiona's right. I think we should go.
I'm cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, come on. I'll wave
I
him
am
over.
terrified.
It's okay. I'm holding your hand. We're safe.
Do you go in, Ormus?
I'm holding his hand. Unless if he pulls away from me, he'll be pulled in with me.
You guys ever seen one of those kids who just like touches the water with his foot at a beach, just like very like leans his foot forward, leans his body back, and just like one tap at a time, just get closer and closer?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That's what I'm doing.
Absolutely nothing happens as you go, Ormus. You put in your leg, you put in the rest of your body, you do the whole hokey pokey, you get most of your body in. Nothing seems to change at all until you get your head to the other side.
Yeah.
And you can see everything. If you lean back, you see nothing and it looks normal. Lean in, it's all there. It seems
Why
to
are
be
you
that
psychedelic?
exactly. You get inside and it goes full Technicolor. And in entering, you can see these little creatures flying around of different, making whole rainbows of pixie dust and all kinds of stuff.
I'm just gonna roll real quick to see if this triggers Lee's epilepsy. I rolled a 1.
Oh God!
That's unfortunate.
Actually, never mind. That's a 7. I think I'm okay.
Okay. All right. So Mark does, in fact, follow you in at this point, but Jacobs continues to stay outside with the rope just in case. And he is equally amazed inside. But you all are standing within this ring, and there's a ring of easily 1,000 of these creatures, if not more, of various different sizes. Some of them are 2 or 3 inches tall. Others are not quite Mollymort size, but of various heights and shapes and shades. in
Whoa.
various stages of dress and different styles, and they seem to just be kind of flitting around. And they seem, I will add, they seem entirely focused on you all. They're
This-
looking within the circle, and they are all outside of it.
Hey, Jacob, if you want to come in, you could probably tie that off on a tree. I don't want you to be the only one missing out. And
He
I
looks
also,
a bit nervous.
Jacob, I would like to note that all the fairies are on the outside, which is peculiar.
He
Yeah, there's
quickly
one
jumps
in
in,
your head.
thinking that there's one behind him.
Oh,
And there
no.
was actually several behind him.
Fionn thinks and he says in talk to kind of like that's the saying is around kind of just expressing the public.
One of the larger creatures answers in a bit of Elvish, a sort of broken Elvish.
Well, we all speak Elvish except for Molly.
Yeah.
What languages does Molly speak? I'm curious.
Common and gnomish.
It's you asked before in Common if they spoke Common or Gnomish.
Yeah, and I also tried writing in Druidic and with magic in case they would respond to that.
But you did write that outside of the circle.
That's true.
Anyway, but as you speak in Elvish, there's a sort of broken response
Wait,
in
how-
Elvish. Go
Sorry.
on.
I
No,
was
it's
just,
fine.
I just occurred to me. Molly's been around all of us, and the rest of us speak Elvish for so long. Do you think she would have started to pick up on like little simple phrases and stuff?
Maybe a couple of simple phrases, but she hasn't really, to my knowledge, been studying it enough to learn it as a language.
Okay.
If anything, I was studying. Gosh,
Draconic.
Chronic.
no, you guys were studying Draconic. I was studying Primordial.
Primordial. Yeah,
Okay. Well, Lee didn't learn any languages. He was just training.
that's fine. He learned the language, a certain martial language.
The
So-
language of hammers.
Yes. Let me play you their music. So
And he is always constantly playing their music.
you get a response in Elvish saying that the queen has opened the door for you all, for him, and they point at Fionn.
Lee will kind of bow respectfully.
Fionn immediately blushes. You can see that on the face that he.
I whisper to whoever's closest to me what they say.
I'll whisper what they said, and then I'll pat Fiona on the shoulder and say, "Sounds promising. Let's go."
Molly, do you had some of those gems from on you, right? Do you have any more of those? Like,
I don't think I currently have any of them.
It's not in your hat.
I think no, I do have some. I gave one bag to Alondria to hide because I trust her. But
Mhm.
you have a bag of them yet. Why?
An offering.
yeah, I remember my elders saying stuff about make sure that you have some gift if and the queen is called to open the door for us for yeah
Anytime a great power offers you hospitality, it's polite to offer them a gift. That's just, I don't need a religion check for that. I just know that.
Mhm.
in Elvish, where can you point us at where to go?
Yes, lead the way. But like he said.
They kind of tilt their head a little bit, and they motion around, and they say, "All is the realm of our goddess."
Oh,
Yes.
okay. which way do we go to talk to her?
You go out, silly.
All right. Lee
Fun.
holds Ormus's hand and maybe grabs Fiona's hand and starts to walk out.
Yeah, I
Oh,
feel
what
like
did you say?
Fionn would be susceptible to that. He'd follow Lee's lead.
I'll cast tongue and grab Molly's hand.
Lee is at this point skipping very loudly.
Ormus, did you cast tongues on me?
Yes.
You are dear.
Yes, that is beautiful.
But yeah, they'll say that all steps will lead to our goddess,
Let's go this way then.
as is the power of her realm.
Nice.
So which direction do you go? What do you do? Keeping in mind that one direction is sort of towards the kind of sunrise.
I'll go towards the sunrise because that seems poetic
Yeah,
Okay.
that's inappropriate.
and obvious, you know?
Mm-hmm. You start walking towards the sunrise, and you cross the ring again.
Yeah.
As you cross the ring, you find yourself in the dark woods.
Oh. Molly, how does this work?
I don't know. Maybe we should go further into the ring?
Is there a way to do that? Okay. Step back into the ring.
It was around the tree. Maybe go into
Around the
the tree?
Oh, we could try going around the tree 3 times.
Yonder, how
We-
big did you say this ring was?
The ring itself is, I think I said about 20 feet wide, something like that.
Right.
Let's go.
Well, I was gonna say, like, can I make a check to see, like, what direction I think we should go?
Yeah, I mean,
Sure.
you're our navigator.
I mean, we can try and
Maybe
ask them.
Molly.
Well,
I mean, honestly, this is Fiona's thing. I think you probably have the best feeling for it.
Go for it, Fionn.
that would be a 21. I just did a survival check because I figured navigation.
All right. With a 21, in this particular one with the survival check, actually, I'm going to counter your roll. Or in this sort of a sense, it's not so much navigating, it's more about understanding. In this one, maybe a history check or some sort of religion check or something about the Fae, because this is really about trying to understand, because they essentially gave you a kind of a riddle. What they said doesn't make sense by your kind of a physics. It's not so much about finding a path through the woods, it's about
If-
something else. And you got to figure out what that something else is.
If that's
I
the case, would an
Did
insight
get
work?
An insight of a kind might work.
Well, I was gonna say, like, would Arcana be a thing? Because it specifically says that Arcana checks are for magical traditions and planes.
Yeah, Arcana could very well be a thing. Yeah, in this
I was
particular
gonna, I was
instance,
gonna
yes.
wonder if my 19 could kind of roll over, but
19 into what? Into what?
the Arcana check that I made earlier.
Maybe. Let's see what the Fionn gets.
Yeah, if it was Arcana, I did get.
Okay, fair enough. With a 19, in this particular instance, sort of in this realm, you know that it kind of makes sense that the Fey realms, the different courts, that they're their own sort of universes. They're their own little pockets. In the same sense, thinking back on your times where you've, not to invoke him, but where you've met Arata, both his home and the Nightmare Society and things like that. These are these sort of separate pocket dimensions. And this is probably something like that. And it being a realm of the power, or they can make their own rules as they see fit. You're not quite sure what rules would apply. They seem to say that, thinking back on kind of the words, that all paths would lead to the goddess, that you simply go out but you went out of the circle and you went to nowhere. That's not it.
Can I go up to the tree and touch it and then climb it?
Sure. Yeah, you go into the tree and you climb up the tree, and on the other side of the tree, you see an endless field of flowers at sunrise.
Guys, I think I might have found the doorway. Possibly?
Beyond follows just without question.
You all climb the tree. Even walking around and looking, you can clearly see the tree just goes up. It's just a tree. But where you climb the tree, no matter where you climb it, you find yourself looking on the other side at an endless field of flowers at sunrise.
Well, geez, I was just pretty view. It's certainly a pretty
Gorgeous. Yeah.
I'm gonna go out on a limb, close my eyes, and walk back out, relying on feeling rather than sight, and then open up my eyes to see if that did anything.
Walk out from what?
The circle of flowers.
Okay, you walk out from the circle of flowers. Did you close your eyes?
Yes.
Okay. And then what do you do?
Can open them back up to see if it was
Okay.
more of relying on feeling.
As you close your eyes and step backwards, you don't feel much. It feels a little bit warmer in the ring now that you really focus on it. And there is certainly a difference, even on your closed eyelids. There is light within the ring that is not outside of it. When you step out of it, it apparently is sunset, or rather past sunset and quite dark and cool inside of the woods. But inside, it's a summer sunrise.
Well, I was saying be inside the circle, close my eyes, and step out.
Yeah, and
Oh, okay.
inside of the circle, it felt warmer and brighter. Outside of the
Okay.
circle, it's cold and dark.
Gotcha. Yeah, well, that wasn't it.
And your friends are climbing the tree.
Yeah, while I were doing that, I was gonna
Please
try that. But
send me
okay.
a childlike wonder roll. Does my childlike wonder roll help?
I mean, not especially. You climb the tree, right?
I guess I can. Yeah, I'll climb the tree.
Okay. You find an endless field of flowers on the other side of the tree. I mean, you've climbed it, and you're looking over it like almost like a fence in a sense.
I'll poke my head down and say, Ormus, get up here. It's really cool. And I'll put my hand down to help pull him up.
Enormous, you're just looking. It's a strange plane and everything, but it is just a tree. You're not sure what's so cool up in the tree.
Yeah,
Is there
Leah's, like,
anything on the other
out of the...
side if I just look?
Nope, absolutely nothing. You just see the normal forest. It's clearly
Okay.
at sunrise, which is strange because outside it's after sunset, but you see nothing else.
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
just put my hand down to pull him up.
All right.
I'll
And
take
when you get to the top of the tree, you look out and you can see an endless field of flowers during a summer sunrise.
Are we ground level at the top of the tree?
No, you're up in a tree. You've got to climb out of the tree or jump out of the tree on the other side into the field of flowers. I mean, you're up.
Huh.
You climbed a tree, and the tree's in the middle of a field of flowers.
Curious.
As you release yourself, Fionn, you fall gently, like petals on the wind, and you land with a soft whoosh in the flowers. And even as you look down, the flowers just moved aside for your steps. Nothing was disturbed. And if you take a couple of steps, nothing is trampled underfoot. It's as if nothing had been done. It moved out of your way, much in the way that water would move out of the way of a boot in a pond. No disturbance. Yeah, a little ripple of flower, but that's it. Of flowers, and that's it.
John too.
All right. A similar experience. You float down as easily as a honeysuckle reaching towards the ground, and here you are in a field of flowers. It's a beautiful day. It's a bright purple above, and it is sunrise, and it feels quite warm. Not too warm, just the perfect amount of warm.
Do I see any more fairies still?
No, no. You see an endless field of flowers, and behind you, you see a tree.
We can't figure out how to get down.
I push him. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, wait. Lee will grab onto the tree even harder, like a cat stuck in a tree.
You can see Lee stuck in a tree.
Hey, trust the ball.
All right. I'll.
Not so much the fall I'm worried about. It's the sudden stop at the end that hurts.
Yeah,
Right.
Molly just shouts, "Trust ball!"
I'll hold on even tighter at what Ormus said. Lee's very nervous. You first.
Trust fall, trust fall, trust fall.
I'm not jumping out of this tree with him here. He tried to push me.
Fionn reaches his hands out as if actually. I promise it's okay.
I'm still nervous about Ormus pushing me again.
Ormus, get down here.
Ah! Alright. I jump off.
Okay. You leap into the air and you slowly glide down to the ground.
Don't do it, Lee! It's a trap!
Oh my god.
Lee's very concerned. I'm gonna roll an acrobatics for Lee to try to get out of the tree from that position.
Mark gets up to the top and is looking out now and going, "It's beautiful!"
I rolled a 2.
So, how do you want to get out of this, Lee?
Well, I wanted to just kind of like hop out, but I rolled a 2 and I'm in full armor, so I think I probably just kind of flop out.
So, as Lee attempts to kind of jump out, and he doesn't quite succeed in it too well in the climb and the stumble, and you can see as he goes, he slowly does a flip in midair and lands softly on his back on a bed of flowers. And Lee,
I was gonna try and catch him.
if you didn't know better, Lee, you would think the flowers are trying to intentionally tickle you.
Oh no, Lee's very ticklish.
Trust fall.
Yeah, Lee just like sits up and looks around and just like, I've fallen out of a lot of trees. That was the most pleasant experience I've had so far.
Didn't I
Mark
tell
and-
you so? That was great.
Mark and Jacob soon find themselves on the other side of the field, and they're pretty amazed. And Jacob, in fact, does a backflip, slow motion, in the flight, in this sort of reduced gravity kind of fall. And it's they seem to be pretty happy. And then Mark does one too, and he's like, "This is amazing."
Nice.
So what do you guys do? You
My
look all
concern is
around.
how do we get back now?
It's an endless field of flowers from every direction that you look,
Is the
except for a
tree still
tree.
there? Okay.
Yeah, except for a tree.
I look
Sorry,
I look at Fiona. I just said I look at Fiona and I'm like, where to next?
Fionn closes his eyes and hands out and just to let the flowers touch as he walks, and he's walking forward.
Okay,
I'll follow him. I'm like,
you
we should
begin
hold
walking
hands.
forward. Does the rest follow? Everyone follow? Molly Mort?
Absolutely, I'm even walking.
I'll take Fiona's hand and then I'll reach out for whoever is next in line.
And now, as you're walking, gravity kind of feels normal, but if at any moment you want to skip or jump, it's as if gravity goes to like half or less, and you can just bound. It's
I will
a
definitely.
strange feeling. In a way, you could actually go faster if you're skipping.
Oh, it's down. I'm skipping.
Absolutely.
I don't know how good Lee is at skipping, but he's skipping.
Molly's definitely a pro.
So everyone begins skipping across a field of flowers.
Yes.
Yes.
Slow
Alright.
motion throws me off.
I'm walking.
Are you holding anybody's hand?
No.
Lee will reach out to you and be like, hey, grab my hand. Ah, we're getting away.
Bye.
No.
Get your hand.
Alright. I'm still not skipping.
As the others skip, they drag you along, and in the low gravity environment, they're able to easily do so. As you attempt to walk, they quickly drag you.
If he's trying to just walk, I'll just walk with him.
Yeah, I don't want to leave anybody behind. I'll slow down if we have to.
I'll
No.
speed up. I'll power walk if I have to, but I'm
No
not
need.
skipping.
You're able to keep up pretty well. Although you do have a non-skipping Ormus messing up the image, but that's fine. Soon enough,
Normally, Theon's the paranoid one. Something's wrong here.
you don't know how long you're skipping for. I mean, you really don't. You completely lose track of how long you've been doing this. But you start to see a point on the distance, a kind of a blue, like a gleaming blue,
Ooh.
that's silhouetted on the purple backdrop of the sky. And it's directly in front of you. You're already heading directly at it, and you continue to go towards it. It kind of crosses your mind sometime later that all of you had completely forgotten how long you've been skipping. You don't know if it's been 5 minutes or 5 years. You completely have nothing in between except for just happiness and joy and grumpiness on some people's parts. But you
Paranoia.
completely lost everything there. But soon enough, you find yourself going towards a massive, and I mean like the size of a mountain, a massive blue dragon.
Is this okay?
Yeah, I was gonna say, can I make some sort of check to see if this feels right?
Oh, it feels right. No check needed.
I'm gonna slow down to take off my armor and change into my plain armor.
Now, why on earth would she do that?
Theon stops for a second and he straightens his overcoat and hat. Like, this just feels so perfectly right. It has to be it, you guys.
A single tear rolls down Lee's cheek, and he says, "If only Aladrin could be here."
You continue to move forward to find.
Don't worry, I'll take pictures.
You continue to move forward
What
to
does that
this
mean?
seemingly sleeping dragon, and as odd as it is, it was warm of like summer, but as you get closer, it gets a little cooler. And in the shade, in the crook of this dragon, as you sort of follow the curl of its tail, you find it's almost like a picnic tent. It's like an awning made of flowing silks of all of the colors of the summer. And you see, well, you see a woman. She's beautiful. She has honey-colored hair, clean skin, and it's a bit strange, but there she is.
I open my divine sense.
When you open your divine sense, the smell and scent of, and even the taste of, well, honey, it just comes through. Honey, like honeysuckle kind of honey. Not like bees honey, but flower honey. Comes through. Nectar, in a sense. It's overwhelming, delicious.
Oh,
And there's bubbling of fountains of various colors, just kind of around her, coming out of bowls of, it looks like ice. And as you look a little bit closer too, I think even the dragon is made of ice. It's a bit odd.
Whoa.
But here you are. And there she is. And she seems to have a bit of a smile on her face. And she's just watching you all as you come closer.
I'll kind of nod to Fionn and just kind of gesture with my head for him to like walk forward. Like, I think this is it.
I'm gonna reach through my hat and pull out a jar of honey to you.
You pull out a what?
A jar of honey.
A jar of honey. Nice.
Wait, you pulled out a jar of honey and what?
and gave it to you.
Oh, okay. I was just making sure. Fionn will take it and he'll walk forward, and what is the word for one knee? Prostrate yourself, I guess.
Prostrate is completely laying down on your front, I think.
Yeah, it's. We know what you're saying. I forget the specific
kneel?
word.
You can kneel, yeah.
Kneel, that's it, yeah.
Before you go, Lee will give you some candy, saying that Molly gave you some honey because he thinks it'll help.
Fionn will take it. And
One of them all. One of them. Some of them it's for her. Sorry, go ahead.
and he approaches and he doesn't really even know.
She's watching you with icy blue-gray eyes. I mean, she's a beautiful elf, and was probably the most beautiful elf possibly either that you've ever seen, or possibly even that's ever existed. And okay, this must be said. I don't bring it up a lot, but it will add to the awkwardness. It must be mentioned that she is in a state of non-dress.
Oh, Lee turns around.
Oh my. Molly tries to be polite about this, but does
I mean, she's
upward.
She's sitting tastefully, like you
Yeah.
know. It's
Well, if Lee, before Fionn goes, Lee will actually turn around and give him his cape. Be like, just here, and he'll turn around because Lee can't handle that.
Yeah.
He's too much. He's too naive.
Fionn kneels and he, bowing his head, holds out the things that he's been given, and he says, I must apologize, I was not prepared, and I did not have time to greet you with a proper gift, but these are all things that we've collected and hold dear. I myself crafted this cloak, and it's the best I can offer as a gift. I promise, once we leave your realm, I will make you something myself with the expressed intent, but I did not want to approach you or your court without having something to give you in appreciation for allowing me to enter your realm.
I whispered to Lee, should I have given him some jewels and stuff instead of just honey?
I don't know. You're the expert.
She takes a bite of what looks to be a very ripe plum, and looking down at where Fionn is kneeling, she chews and then speaks before even swallowing, and says that it's not often that my name gets called so much. Not by those with their own free power. So often they want things from me. Not often they come to give gifts. She smiled.
Well, I remember the stories that my ancestors told me of never expecting to approach one, go into one's home without some form of hospitality, some form of graciousness.
And in fact, Fionn, you might have a thought that crosses as well, that you even experienced this the first time you came to Hope. There was a tradition that they seem to continue on. They call it the Shara. You don't know why, but when you showed up, the king gave you gifts. And that's sort of been an odd thing. You don't know why the king gave you gifts, but anyway, that might have just crossed your mind just briefly. Continue.
Jeez, and I got arrested when I came into town.
That was
Merry
Bakata.
fucking Christmas.
That was Bakata, not Hope. Hope,
Yeah.
being much closer, seemed to have a different way of doing things.
Yes, that's true.
But Fionn, go on. She doesn't seem to answer. She just seems to be taking bites of this plum and watching you.
Lee whispers to Molly with his back turned and his hands over his eyes, kind of squatting into the flowers. He says, "How's it going?"
It's going all right. Give him a minute.
Okay. Tell me when she puts on some clothes.
Will do, Lee.
Theon says, I wanted to carry on traditions and be as grateful as I could, show you my gratefulness of you allowing us to enter the realm, and
Is that why you called my name out in such passion? To show how grateful you were?
Oh my.
Well, no, I called your name out because I had a pact with Gilgim, and I don't know if you know of him, but I, at least in my eyes, was misled, and I couldn't devote myself to someone like that anymore, who would give me power to use me in a way that I didn't deem right. And
Lee's head pops up.
She lifts an eyebrow a little, and she says, "So then you called my name to devote to me, or do you want me to use you?"
Oh my.
But Lee's head pops up at the mention of oats. Lee says, "Oats?"
Molly pushes his head back away. Nope, she's still naked.
Yeah.
Theon says, well, yes, I do wish to devote myself to you. You were who my clan worshipped. They spoke of you. We built traditions based around what teachings of you were told to be, at the very least. You know, obviously, the first time I've ever heard your word directly from your mouth. And when I was with my clan, everyone was happy. So I just, that was the last time I could think back to being happy, and no one ever felt betrayed when they were calling your name.
Lee's got a paladin boner, like, so
Yeah.
hard right now.
She gives an almost blushing smile at the answers, and she says, "You have offered me fine gifts, and what is it that you would want me to do to make you happy?"
Well, I know this is a big ask, but I would ask that you help me be who I can be to uphold good in this world. And in return, obviously, my devotion will go to you, and I will practice your rights. Your out of character. I'm like, as a player, I'm having trouble thinking of the way of the like
It's fine.
Tenants?
tenets. Yes, your tenets. Practice devotion to you. Practice your tenets, and be a different person. Be someone who can look back at what they've left on this world and be proud of it. Because right
She
now,
kind of
I'm not
shakes.
proud.
She shakes her head a little bit, and she makes a kind of pouting face, and she says, "No, don't be a different person. The person who would bring me these gifts, that is a person that I want to keep around."
Yeah, we love Tiny.
Yeah. Lee pops up and he's like, "I can't take it anymore. Oats! Oats!"
She gives a
How you doing? I'm doing.
a divine giggle. I'm gonna mute you, Ormus. No offense. She gives a sort of divine giggle at the joy from Mollymort and from your friends. See, they accept you as well. You're a good person. Be that person.
All she needs from you is your devotion, is what it sounds like. I mean, I could be wrong, but like, you give your devotion, you are worthy.
Well, I am 100% willing to give you my devotion. There's one more thing that I feel I should be clear about. I would also ask that if it's not too much to ask, help me purify, in a sense, what I was, because I, I want to be the person that everyone here is telling me, the same person, the good person, but I also profaned my body and devoted myself to dark arts that
Born again.
Molly pulls out some sage.
Yeah. You're not a born again Christian, you're a born again Titanian.
He's not born yet.
Yeah.
and so I can truly devote myself, body and soul, to you
A
and
worthy vessel.
purge
Sorry.
myself of this taint, because I don't feel, like Lee's saying, I don't feel worthy physically, having destroyed myself physically.
I'm not muted. Sorry.
It's perfectly fine. She takes a few steps off of her throne and approaches you, Fionn, where you still kneel. And you can, even if you're not looking, you can just sense the sort of. You can sense her attention, her focus. It feels like in the room that, while it is in a summer sort of sense, there is a kind of gentle, cool breeze coming off of the dragon made of ice and the fountains made of ice. And there's sort of an ice structure, and someone almost brings a chill, a cool, dry chill to the room, like you're standing in front of a refrigerator in a sense. This is an odd sort of way to break it, but as she moves around, her gaze feels like raw sunlight, the warmth as she walks around you. And she stops in front of you, and she kneels down, and she kind of basically kind of lifts your chin a little bit, and she looks down at you. And she says, "Are you really sure? Are you really sure that you're ready to devote yourself to me?"
I am. Like I said before, no one was unhappy when they were calling you. And my friend Molly here is more in tune with your kind, but I feel she would be willing to speak. She's most of the reason why I thought of you and back to my childhood of my clan calling your name in your name.
She smiles and nods, and she goes over to one of the pools that is gently bubbling with colorful liquids. And holding the plum in one hand, she scoops up some liquid with the other and brings it over, dripping a kind of light blue liquid coming from her fingers. And she brings it closer, and she, moves her hand towards you, Fionn, as if symbolizing, in comes the airplane. open wide.
And I do.
How you phrase that?
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. Here comes the airplane.
She allows the liquid to run from her hand into your mouth, and it's the color, or rather the flavor is indescribable. We don't have the word, but if you could describe, if you had a flavor that was the first snowfall of the year,
Oh,
like that would be the flavor.
nice.
Like the first snow day, both the combination of the joy and the wonder and the cold, but in a good way. Like it's that sort of, that's the flavor essentially. And it's, you can just feel it going in, and as it goes through, you can feel it spreading like roots of a tree underneath the ground. But you can feel the cold spreading through you, and soon enough, you've just got this chill and this glow. Anyone who happens to be watching him, he does take on a more. Fionn already has a kind of grayish blue pallor to him, if I'm correct. Yes.
Yeah.
You can watch as the grayish blue becomes a vibrant, glowing blue.
Oh man. Lee's gonna whisper to Molly, "Just tell me when it's time to cheer."
Got it.
And then she, once you've basically had the vast majority of the liquid from her hand, with the liquid still on her hand, she runs her fingers through your hair, and it just gives you a little shiver. You don't know if that was magic or just, a beautiful elf woman running her hand through your hair, but
So,
she does so, and you feel pretty amazing. And then she just takes another bite of her plum and almost dances back onto her icy throne. That you see now that she got off of it is actually also like a miniature version of the dragon. And she just curls back up on it again and munches on her plum.
I want to go talk to Fiona now.
You guys can do whatever you want.
Yeah, I guess Lee will get up and go to Fiona and be like, "You look great," and I'll look him in the eyes. Has anything changed?
What color are Fion's eyes normally?
Normally they were kind of a sickly yellow from the taint of curse, but I imagine before that happened, his eyes were green.
Yeah, I was about to say they were sort of a sickly yellow before. No, now they're pure white, surrounding a vibrant green, a summer green.
You know what? Seeing how different he looks, I'm gonna run up to him and hug him. Make an athletics check.
Oh,
Oh.
my athletics check is 15.
26.
Oh god.
Do I knock him over?
Sure. Yeah,
Oh.
totally knocked right over.
I take advantage of it being on the ground to pat him on the shoulder.
You can see, if anyone is curious, Jacob followed Lee's guide and is averting his eyes and looking away. Mark is just
He's
looking
like,
a little. He's looking a little too much.
Mark is like, nice.
While they're tackled, I'm gonna walk up to the queen, take off one of my bracelets, hand it to her, and just looking directly right in her eyes to say thank you. Walk away.
She just smiles and nods, and puts the looks at the bracelet and then sets it down on the tail end of the icy dragon that she's sitting on top of.
Fiona, I mean, I imagine I feel much better now with the snow no more cobwebby.
Oh yeah, completely gone. You feel just you feel like everything that was there was just washed away. Where before you felt like cotton candy, now you feel like washing your hand after eating cotton candy.
Like,
You feel good. You had some cotton candy.
Like-
Okay, drop the cotton candy. You feel good.
Lee has never seen
I feel
Fiona.
good. Damn.
Lee has never seen Fiona like this before, but I think it's how Lee has always imagined Fiona could be, because he knows that deep down, on some level, Fiona has always been a little bit broken. But like seeing him this way, it's like he's been reborn, and it's just really moving to him. So Lee's like crying while he's like, with him. You ever seen that scene in Lord of the Rings where they like finally join back together and they're all so relieved that they're like crying and hugging each other? I feel like it's a very that moment.
Fiona accepts all the love. Turns Kanye. Heals again and he says, I must thank you very deeply.
Ormus, we're getting a lot of noise coming through, buddy.
Yeah, I'm trying to tap this fucking thing down. So there we got it. Never mind. I'm good. Sorry.
Alright. Go on, sorry.
I must thank you very deeply for hearing me out. I mean, accepting me who I am. Bringing me back to who I am.
I would be really curious, and this is just something that popped into my head, if Fiona used his lips again, if they would be like covered in flowers or something. I know that's not like in your aesthetic, but it just occurred to me, and I thought it was neat.
I mean, Fiona did name his whips Kudzu and Ivy. So.
Exactly, they could grow like that. That would be so cool.
That would be cool.
We gotta pull Steven Universe here now.
And he gets up from his knee. And I think you would helping me be someone who can protect this. And from this day forth, I will never again question if the person I'm looking up to down upon me and cares.
She, on this one, where before it was a smile that may have accompanied a blush, this one, she does indeed smile and blush.
Well, I think we are well and due for some proper merriments. Can we
Yeah.
go hang out with those fairies?
At this point, Lee has snatched up Molly and is hugging her like a teddy bear. So you're gonna have to say that from up here.
That's fine.
All right. So, what would you like to do? Start walking away?
Hard A.
Yeah, Fiona bows again. Or, yeah, he bows and... God, I just had it. Oh.
Huh?
If you'd be so gracious to dismiss, I'm sorry to, basically dine and dead.
She giggles. And she says, "You all may leave with my blessing."
Of course, I'll bow like any respectable lawful idiot.
Mm-hmm.
Molly bows too, then looks up to her with a grateful smile.
I love your work. I mean, it's not like Lathander or anything, but it's pretty good.
Do you say that?
Yeah, probably. But I say it genuinely, so, that's part of Lee's charm.
There's an eye roll. All right.
I
So-
sincerely think you've done pretty well in what I've seen of what you've done. So thank you.
She nods.
Okay, I'm gonna try to stop laughing at my own.
Jacob also does a bow. Mark does a couple of nods. Ready to walk away?
Yeah,
Yes.
okay, thank you very much. I hope you have a good day, whatever. A good time. A good long extended period of time.
She doesn't. She doesn't say anything back, but she does nod.
We should probably go before this gets awkward.
Yeah, Fionn is walking towards the field again.
Lee not realizing that it already got awkward.
Molly skips toward the field.
Oh yeah, full on skipping.
You leave the shade of the icy dragon, all of you going, and you walk into the field. You don't remember which way to the giant ash tree. Do you want to just keep skipping? You don't see any path that you have. You just want to keep skipping forward and hope for the best?
Yeah, I'm just walking.
Yeah, I figure it's Titania's realm, so we'll just walk and we'll exit that way.
And that is exactly what happens. You continue to go, and soon enough, you see that you're heading directly at the giant tree, and you're pretty sure you know what to do from there.
Damn non-Euclidean dimensions.
Oh my.
So, climb on up into the tree.
Yes.
Yep.
All right. And on the other side of the tree, you find a dark forest. Cold after sunrise, or after sunset, I should add.
Hey, I rolled an 18 on my acrobatics check. Lee doesn't fall on his face.
That's good. You need it. It takes a little bit of work to climb out of this ash tree, but you do so. Would everyone else like to climb out?
Yes.
Yep.
I like that I rolled a 2 and then an 18, so that's a 20. It just something about that is satisfying to me.
That's good.
And you rolled it high when you needed to.
Yeah. I wanted to roll low on the other one. I thought it'd be funny.
It doesn't take a whole lot of effort. This tree looks like it's pretty easy to climb, and you're able to go down. Mollymort maybe needs a little bit of help here and there, especially the last little bit. But you all are able to get out of the tree, and again, you find yourself seemingly just in the dark forest south of Hope.
To be completely honest, I always just assumed Molly was the best climber out of all of us.
She could just leap down, yeah, I guess.
I mean, I kind of imagine her climbing like a freaking squirrel. She's just like really light but powerful for her size, so she could just like scurry.
I could turn into a squirrel.
Yeah, like I feel like she would have the most natural talent with that. At least
Whichever.
trees.
That's fair. But you're able to get out of the ash tree, and you find yourself in the forest. What would you all like to do?
Oh man.
Says, what do you guys think about if we got time, drink to celebrate?
Yeah.
And you also notice that, like, Fionn is standing at full height rather than to be hunching all the time. Just, I mean, it sounds cliche to say it, but because he felt like the weight of the world was on his shoulders, but he feels lightened right now.
Mm-hmm.
Lee is so ridiculously proud that he's just like kind of off and on sobbing and smiling the
I will
entire
add,
time.
Fionn, when you climbed out of the tree, when you left the realm, your eyes continued to be green and bright. Your skin does have a more bluish shade, but the glow does go away. But you are still transformed in that sense, but you're not actively glowing blue anymore.
Further than I was.
Yeah.
That could cause a problem with stealth.
Exactly. But no, this will be fun.
What about the scars? Do you think any of them clear up?
Everything else is still there. Tattoos, scars. Nothing went away. It was mostly the pallor of the skin and the eyes. In many ways, it changed the potential of what he can be, but it doesn't change his path.
So when we cross back over, Fionn takes out the pendant that he had with the symbol of him on it,
Mm-hmm.
tosses it.
Lee
All right.
literally cheers and applauds.
And what do you guys want to go get a drink? Where do you want to get a drink?
The Iron Gentleman?
Yeah.
Alright.
You guys keep talking about this place, and I haven't gone, so I really want to go.
Lee, you would love it.
It's called the Iron Gentleman. Of course I would love it. Look at me.
It's a lot of fun. First round's on, and Mark is pointing at all of you interchangeably. Somebody, who's first round on? As Mark is starting to walk backwards cheerfully.
I put my finger on my nose.
Alright, let's go. And
My gnome.
they
That-
begin to walk off through the woods.
That means not it. That wasn't the offer.
Thanks for offering, Molly.
Gilm laughs and scoops Molly and says, "Don't worry, it's on me."
As you all are walking through the woods, everything seemingly being entirely normal, Theon, out of the corner of your eye, you could have sworn you just saw a little fairy's face peek around a tree and hide back as soon as you go to look at it. Anyway.
Like, straight up, this is what Gilgame gets for saying that Fiona's going to be nothing without him. Look at him now, you know? Like, seriously, like, if he could see you now, put him to shame. Anyway.
Oh, well, I'm sure he'll have something to say about it in the future.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm glad you made him eat his words, though, so far.
But
far,
you
so
head
good.
off towards the Iron Gentleman.
Yes.
So, we will come back to that later. Aladrin, if you're with us.
Yes.
All right.
Yay!
We've
You
missed
have you have spent another evening, this time on a kind of a thresh bed, a sort of simple mattress, fibrous of kind, covered in a kind of a somewhat itchy but not entirely unpleasant fabric. And you, of course, spent the evening with your guide, Adira, a half-elf daughter of a druid that you had met by the name of Pandathias. And she's been helping you get to a point where you could conceivably survive the path without her. And you've gotten to the point, you've passed through ruined human cities, and you've passed through terrible realms, or rather, the hunting areas of creatures that can turn people to stone, having seen firsthand that, yes, in fact, they can do that. And now you find yourself in what could be described maybe some sort of a traveling camp, or some sort of a circus, maybe? You're not quite sure how to describe it, in that you essentially came into another ruined city, a long abandoned ancient realm of humans, and found a sort of shanty town, a sort of tent village that is able to accommodate. It had an inn made of a collection of tents. It had various travelers that seem to be going about. They almost have a kind of trade or currency system that, Adira even had some currency or trade that was happily accepted by these proprietors. You're not quite sure what to make of it, but she seems to know the way here. She seems to know the people. Yeah, you're not quite sure if you need her as a guide anymore. But anyway, you wake up having spent the evening with her. It seems that she, one, hogged the covers, and two, hogged the mattress. She kept moving over more and more, taking more and more space of the bed, just constantly bumping into you and moving closer all night.
Anyway.
In the morning, a light bulb flashes in Aldrin's head, and he looks at her and he says, "What do you know about resurrection magic?"
Almost nothing. Why?
I was going to ask you if you wanted to come on a journey.
She smiles.
I'm
What
just
journey? The journey you're on? Are we gonna fight pirates?
You know, I don't think I've ever fought a pirate. Yet. But
Or
no. I was going to ask you if you could help us resurrect Bahamut.
I'm just gonna put this out
Hmm.
there. You have
Go
really
on.
interesting taste in pillow talk.
um, well, there's, long story short, a bunch of magic mumbo jumbo that I don't understand. His soul's in an egg or something, but his heart is made of stone, and we can't find out how to not make his heart stone so that we can make him a new body or something. I don't know. Magic mumbo jumbo.
She looks at you very confused and she says, "Oh, Aldrin, you say so many things I don't understand, but they're wonderful."
I don't understand them either. That's a coincidence.
But she says, "Yes, I will absolutely go with you on your adventure."
Um. All right. Well, first things first, we need to get to. The name popping into my head is Verbenville, but that's not it at all.
Well, Verbenville actually would be closer by several
it?
hundred miles than Tyrannia. So Tyrannia is the large port city with the colleges and things.
Mhm.
But Tyrannia is on the coast of the White Sea. And the White Sea and the Muddy Sea are separated by a landmass. But there's a canal that goes through to Verbenville. Verbenville is like the other end of the canal that connects the two. So if you get to Verbenville, it's several hundred miles closer than Tyrannia, which Tyrannia is like 1,000 miles away.
Yeah.
But yeah, you could go to Verbenville if you want. There are other towns as well. There's other ways. And in fact, you're not sure where Hope is, but I mean,
Start walking
it is,
there.
yeah, that's kind of the trade. Is like if you went north, you think you could probably even find Hope. It might be, well over 1,000 miles, but you're basically in the middle of nowhere as it is. You know a lot more about the geography much further to the west. You know a lot more about the Elvish lands in terms of the sort of local land masses and everything that's along this area. You know kind of where the directions of certain things are, but you don't really know the world as well here. But
Yeah.
Tyrannia is like 1,000 miles away.
So maybe we could go to Verbenville, get a boat to take us to Tyrannia.
Mm, she says, "Yeah. Oh, we might be able to get one on the Muddy Sea. That might be a lot closer. We could go towards the sea, and then we could sail the Tyrannia."
I'm trying to make sure I have the series of events lined up in my head correctly. Not Tyrannia. Verbenville is where we first met Torin, right?
Yep, that's where you had the sort of workers' revolt. That's where you met Philbin. That's where
Yeah.
all of that was. That's also where there was a battle there. They built a wall to try and across the canal to try and keep Morningstar's fleet from coming into the Muddy Sea, and that's where you first saw Tiamat. That's where you first learned that no, actually, she is apparently alive because she's right there. Before
Okay.
that moment, you actually thought she was dead.
Yeah, maybe Verbenville is a bad idea.
It might be under new management.
It's a very bad idea. Just because of the sheer numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just do I trust my strength that much to brute force through Verbenville, steal a boat, and then go to Terenia?
I mean, would you have to steal the boat? You could, like, pay for it or barter for it.
Also, I love that this is the man asking this is the man who personally pissed off Tiamat.
Yeah, the issue is I think Morningstar might have a wanted poster for me. Wanted dead, not even alive, reward
Mhm.
some obscure amount of gold.
It's possible. It is entirely possible.
We'll check out
That is
Verbenville.
a possibility. So that's the issue, is that with Verbenville, at least, you don't know if you will be able to sail from the Muddy Sea to the White Sea. But you know, if you
Mm.
get close to Verbenville, you could maybe just go around it. It's only a couple hundred miles past to be able to get to multiple places, really. That's always a possibility. You know, too, that the river that goes through Terenia, the White River, you know that if you go far enough east, you might have to go a bit south, but if you run into that, you could just follow the river. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to kind of think about this and kind of go about it.
Yeah.
But no matter which way, even if you walk as fast as you can, say you make it, if you work really hard and you go 30 miles a day, it's going to take you uh, quite a while to get there.
Mm. If I remember right, we were able to walk from Bacata to Verbenville, right?
Yes, and that took you like 10 days.
Okay. So here's my thinking.
Hmm.
I go to Verbenville. If it's safe for me to get a boat there, I'll get a boat and find a way to get to Terenia.
Hmm.
If it's not safe, I'll go to Bacata because I know that at least Alondria is there, and she might be able to help me figure something else out.
Hmm.
I don't know. Aldrin doesn't know that Philbin's there. He just assumes he's dead at this point.
Well, she does say that, she mentioned sailing to Verben, that you might be able to get a ship that's much closer. And you could even sail it directly to Bacata if you wanted to.
If that's possible, that's a good idea. If we can find a ship to take us to Bacata.
If you ask her, she says that, yeah, we could go. If we go south, then we'll find. Yeah, we can do this. Maybe a couple of days south, maybe a week south. We should be able to find someone that has a boat or a ship, and if they're not sailing up, then from everything you've said, maybe you could swim.
Yeah,
I mean, you're
I could.
unstoppable. We can do anything.
Yeah.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
I mean, I kind of see where she's coming from because not even Tiamat's breath stopped me.
I was about to say she shares the same opinion of Lee on that.
Yeah, she seems to have a pretty high opinion of you.
Yeah. So, alright, we'll head south, find a boat, go to Bacata, find Alondria, and Alondria will tell us what to do.
Okay. That is a good plan of action. Yeah, she says that if we go south, and like by this point, she's kind of taking you out into sort of like the common room area again,
Mhm.
and you're able to have a bit of breakfast as she's sort of thinking about things. she has started speaking Elvish. Is that fine?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, like she's just started speaking Elvish instead of Common to you. But she says that there is a port city about a week south of here, and we should be able. If we can't get passage, we can at least find some way from there.
Hmm.
I mean, it's an adventure. We're saving the world. You can even just take a boat. It's not like there's
Taking a
anything they can do to stop you.
taking a boat's kind of a bad idea. I'd rather not start a life of crime.
Aladin, you've corrupted this girl.
Too late, Aldrin. Too late.
There's crime, and then there's for the greater good.
And she says, "But this is for the greatest good."
Aldrin's good.
Yeah. God. We'll try and avoid stealing a boat.
She says, "Yeah, of course, of course, of course. We don't want to steal, right? I guess because people owned things. You know,
Yeah.
you think that her growing up maybe in a strange commune might have she might have a strange understanding of personal property, but whatever.
Oh yeah, she's a hippie. She doesn't.
She's like, "We'll
Personal
just use a
property isn't
boat.
a
What's the
real thing.
problem?"
Yeah. Yeah.
How many times in the history of D&D has anyone ever said, "Oh yeah, she's a hippie"?
In my game, oddly frequently.
God.
But anyway, but she says that that's probably the best plan. And the good news is from here there's roads because they can follow.
Mhm.
We can just follow the old human roads. The journey is much easier and safer.
Hopefully. Hopefully we don't run into more of those stone creatures.
Oh, Aldrin, always so concerned. My hero. She gives you, she's like rubbing your shoulders and stroking your hair. Anyway,
God.
but soon enough, you're once again on the march. Assuming there's no other business you wanted to manage. There's folk around when you leave too. They seem to be. There's some elves and some half elves, even the occasional dwarf. They seem to be doing stuff out here, but whatever.
Because Aldrin's super paranoid and they killed him once and he's really concerned about him coming back again, does anyone look familiar? He's specifically looking for someone like Ebon.
Fair. In terms of drow, excuse me, there are no drow.
Mhm.
But if you want to roll some sort of a perception check,
Yeah.
or perhaps some kind of maybe a history check or some sort of intelligence check to see if you recognize anyone.
Yeah. Just to see if anyone looks familiar.
Mm-hmm.
That is a natural 20 for a total of 24.
You, in fact, do see someone that it almost seems unbelievable at first. But you recognize this guy. He's an elf. And he seems to be on some sort of a wagon train here. He's helping to pack up pouches onto a kind of strange looking horse. Okay, not a horse, probably a camel, or something similar to. And no, not a camel. No, let's go with horse. Yes, he's putting bags on a horse. Forgive me. But this guy, he's wearing sort of tan colors, and he himself has quite a tan. But this was the soldier that was under your command for a while. In fact, there was a moment that you came to after being spit out by a kraken. that one of your men laid a cloak over you, a cloak that you now wear. He did it as a at first as a sort of a pity. You think he thought that you were dead at the time, and of course, it has since become a mark of your shame, although partially self-imposed.
Mhm.
And in fact, you're not even sure what really happened. You have two completely separate memories of what occurred. You're not even sure what the reality of it is, but this was the soldier that draped you in that cloak.
Hmm.
Anyway, you think you recognize him. You think it's him, although it's a world away. And after so long, why would this person be here? But anyway, he
Hmm.
reminds you of him, at
I'm
least.
just gonna put the hood up of the cloak and keep walking. Play it safe.
Okay. And do you walk with her,
Yeah.
heading south on the sort of southerly roads? These long, straight, even, and immaculately constructed human roads of interlocking stones. Fantastic construction. Some sort of golden age engineering.
Hmm.
I mean, you've heard stories of other things that the humans have built. You find the occasional tower or fortress or farm, some long built 1,000+ year, or even 5 or 10,000 year old plus windmill continuing to crush seeds to this very day. Just fantastic stuff that they built.
They might not live long, but humans sure do know their construction.
It's certainly a far cry from the sloppy, terrible construction of Hope, where it's as if every bit of the civilization that laid these stones beneath you has been lost to time.
Hmm.
And considering the terrible things that they did, maybe that's for the best.
Yeah, weren't they the traitors in the war? Weren't they the ones helping Tiamat?
In a sense, yes, they did enslave the vast majority of the planet. Yes,
Hmm.
that is correct. If you want to look at it that way, which is certainly accurate, but many of them don't look at it that way necessarily. And of course, that's what drove many the escaped slaves of the Drow, or rather, the escaped elves and dwarves, gnomes, into a place that even then, the humans, while they were quite different, they still couldn't see in the dark. They still couldn't fare underground. And those beings hid and ran in the dark places, in the deep places, went deep underground, and they eventually became the Drow and the Drugar. This Verfivlin, if pronounced correctly. Um, and they have, in their own sort of way, become a sort of shadow of the evil that humanity once was. Some
Hmm.
sort of an echo continuing to linger, to hang on, even after all this time. And they, of course, had plagued your elvish lands. You've heard so many stories of villages razed and caravans taken, not just the goods, but and not just the beasts either, but the people. Just everything
Hmm.
just gone. Anyway, these may be some of the thoughts that swirl in Alandrin's mind as you march south.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, frankly, let's be honest. She's kind of boring. Um, she names all the plants, and she's nice. Adira's very nice, but she doesn't have a lot to add, and you don't know if maybe she's just shy, or maybe she just. I mean, how many things does she really have to talk about? She has virtually no life experience beyond walking around in the desert.
Yeah.
But and soon enough, actually, as you're marching along, you hear a train behind you, a train of horses, of beasts, of wheels, of industry as they clack and clatter and grind down this road coming up behind you.
Hmm.
Do you get out of the way? You're on the road,
Is it
basically.
is it the same caravan that I saw the former soldier loading things onto?
If you look back, it is indeed the same caravan that was loading, that was being loaded up not too long before.
Hmm. I'll get out of the road.
Stepping aside, it goes past in a cloud of dust following it.
Hmm.
And beside you, Adira yells, "Oh, hey! Hey! Can you give us a ride?" And she's waving her hand. She says, "Algin, Algin, they're going the same way as us."
I'll half-heartedly try and get their attention.
In what manner do you attempt to get their attention?
I'll just like put my arm up at like a very lazy 90 degrees and start waving.
You begin waving your hand a little bit, and she is yelling, "Hey, you guys!" And soon enough, the caravan does come to a bit of a slow, and a dwarf sticks his head out of the window, looking back. "What y'all want?"
A ride.
Yeah, come on in, man. Come on over. And he opens the door to the last sort of a carriage, a more Victorian era sort of esque, not cargo but personnel. He's like, "Yeah, come on in here. Come on in." "Oh man, you're a big fella. Come on."
I'll climb in with him.
Okay. The whole carriage rocks and settles a little bit more towards whichever side Aladrin sits on. And inside is a dwarf, and he's got a dark wood and wrought iron chest that doesn't seem to have any latches or locks or anything, or even hinges. It just seems in the shape of a chest, as if it's sealed by iron. And he's got his arm on it. And he says, "Hey, I'm Galen. Nice to meet you."
Allergen. Pleasure.
"Nice to meet you." And, Adira introduces herself as well. And he offers a scruffy, dirty hand to shake.
I'll shake his hand.
"Yeah. Y'all heading to Elfurus? Elefurius, Adira says. He goes, "Yeah, Elfurus." And
Yeah.
she nods. And she says, "Yeah, we're going to get a boat there." And she clings onto your arm.
Yeah. I don't see any harm in telling him that I'm trying to get back to Bakata.
"Yeah, Vicata? Oh, man." I mean, I guess, whatever. It's personal taste sort of thing. I guess. Not someplace I'd want to go, but, whatever. Yeah, this is kind of, sure.
It's because they got something there. There's people there that could help me with a problem.
Oh, what kind of problem you got, man?
How much do you know about everything that's going on?
You mean what, like all the storms and
Morning
such?
Star and storms.
Oh man, I don't know nothing about Morningstar. Nah, it's none of my business. I got out of there a long time ago.
What do you mean storms? Storms?
Yeah, all the sandstorms.
Do-do-do-do-do.
Are you trying to tell me there's another thing I have to deal with after this?
I don't know if it's your job to deal with sandstorms, but I mean, I guess maybe.
I mean,
I don't. I'm
while
getting out of here because of the storms.
while I'm at it, gotta take down Tiamat, gotta figure out why the stars are disappearing, maybe bring those back.
Yeah, I thought the storm cut of the cause of the star thing too, but I don't know, man.
I don't know. I just hit things. I'll leave the thinking to the rest of the team.
Good man. Good man. Team? You got team?
Yeah. So I went after Morningstar, sunk a few of their boats, and then Tiamat breathed on me and destroyed the boat I was riding on, the boat I hijacked. And so I was like, I'm not going to stick around here for much longer. So I swam to shore, and here I am.
He's kind of looking at her a little bit. And he's, yeah, here you are. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, he just thinks I'm fucking ridiculous and bonkers.
And she says, "Thank you for giving us a ride." And he says, "Oh, that's fine. I had to pay for the whole car anyway. I figured I'd at least get some company, you know." Yeah, y'all, yeah, seem like nice folk. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And he kind of wraps his fingers on the chest a little bit, and he says, "Well, yeah, just you know any songs?"
Alright, I'll bite. What's in the chest?
What? Nothing.
You sure it's nothing?
He just stares and he nods.
Because
I'm sure.
normally when people have a wrought iron chest that doesn't have an opening, there's something in it that they want to keep in there.
Seemed kind of a stupid question to ask a man who's got a chest that he doesn't want to open. What's in it?
I mean,
You
if
hear?
it, I'm not
Is he
that
really-
bright. I'm kind of known for stupid questions.
Yeah, you do seem like you're full of them, aren't you?
I
Full of
love that.
mudgy?
I love that encounter basically boiled down to, did you just question my intelligence? Because you're right.
Yeah, I'm not that bright. I like to hit things. These are my personality traits. This is my job description.
Look, man, you seem like a decent enough guy, right?
Mm.
The chest is here. I'm not going to say it's not, but that's it. No reason to look at it, no reason to talk about it.
Alright.
Ain't nothing here. Got it? Ain't nothing in there. Ain't nothing in there that nobody needs. Most especially not you. Most especially not anyone who might want to take it from me.
You know what? I'm just gonna accept this because the last time I asked too many questions, I blipped out of existence.
At this one, he just turns his head like a full 80 degrees, like cocked, sideways in the way that it's not supposed to move, in tremendous confusion.
So,
Yeah, I
you know
think
what?
maybe I should have just let you walk. Can we just sit in quiet a moment? Because you're starting to freak me out.
A tactic that always works. Of course.
He nods.
I'm gonna just sit there staring at him.
You continue in silence. Soon enough, Adira begins to hum beside you, and she's just still clinging onto your arm. You don't know if she's pretending to be part of a couple as part of a cover, or if she just is just doing that.
Yeah.
But she's just sort of humming along, and soon enough, Galen is tapping the chest and his foot at the same sort of rhythm as her, and it's just kind of going along, and it's a decent trail as you make your way deeper into the desert.
Mhm.
So, is it your intention, Aldrin, to keep a low profile as much as possible? Talk to anybody, stay kind of away. or do you have the intention? Because soon enough, of course, the wagon train will stop for a rest and make camp. Do you keep
I'll
to yourself, or do
try and
you
keep a low profile. Yeah.
hood up, etc.?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There's the ask of who of our guests? And Galen's just like, there's a couple weirdos. No, nothing to worry about. They're harmless. Food is handed out. Galen, oddly enough, you can actually see he pays for your food,
Hmm.
but whatever. And you're able to get a fairly decent warm meal. It's gonna be honest, it's not great. It's a pot meal of various grains. It seems to be primarily like dried beans and some maybe barley. Is that barley? Quite a bit of
Okay.
salt. Um, it's warm, it's hearty, it stores well, it's easy to make. It's pretty darn perfect wagon food. All you need to do is add water, and they seem to have a pretty good amount of water.
All right.
You're able to have a meal. In terms of sleeping, of course, you still don't have anything, but you could just take a sleep on the ground if you like.
Yeah. I'll
Do
pass
you
out on the
allow
floor.
Adira to? I mean, she's trying to constantly be closer to you. I mean, she hogged the covers, she hogged the mattress. Now she is hogging the desert. As you nestle
Yeah.
into the ground, she is nestling beside you.
I'll give it to her.
All right, yeah, she cuddles up, and you can see as for the first time in quite a while, stars begin to rise. They don't fill the sky, but they're there, and it's an odd sort of comfort. After the stars were gone for, oh man, a long time. They've been disappearing for so long, and they were gone for several days, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it seems like a lot to be missing something like that.
Yeah.
But they're starting to come back, and I mean that's a good thing, right?
Yeah. So the stars completely vanished for a few days, right?
They were almost entirely, completely gone. You could still see the moon. Obviously, the sun was still there, and you would see the occasional bright spot of a star. But
Hmm.
there weren't more than two or three in the sky in the entirety of the sky at any one time, and they would usually disappear. They're usually right around sunrise or sunset, and now there's a big patch of stars, and there's even when you catch it at just the moment where the sun, or rather when the moon is down and it's just those stars, you see more stars in a smaller area. There's so many. You see more twinkling there than you can remember seeing in whole swaths of the sky before. Maybe it's just because it's
Hmm.
dark and they were always there and you just couldn't see them. But as for such a small patch, it is a beautiful, lively patch of stars.
Yeah. That's good. Alright, the stars are coming back.
That is good. Adira tells you a story about the stars, as
Hmm.
she's cuddling up and such. And she's watching them, and she seems also ecstatic, and she's talking about how good it is the stars to come back, and all that. And then she talks about how, she was told a story about how the stars are our ancestors, that, up there, that they're still living up there, and they're watching us, and she was so afraid when they disappeared because she's starting like her eyes are starting to well up a little bit. She's like, I was afraid they were going away, and they were like losing family. But now that they're coming back, I'm very happy to see them again.
How old is this girl again?
She's in her 20s or so. She's a hippie.
Yeah, she's just a hippie.
Anyway,
Yeah. It's just weird how the stars disappear.
it is weird.
Not a fan.
Well, sometimes stuff just happens. Anyway,
Yeah.
you have yourself a long rest, and the next day is equally as uneventful,
Alright.
followed by another, and another, and another.
Okay. That's good. Nothing happens.
Assuming you don't do anything, it basically just continues like that.
Assuming you don't try to break into that chest or anything.
No.
Or confront anyone, or, I don't know, just snap, whatever.
No, Aldrin won't do anything.
You can just stare at him every single day, all day, until he eventually cracks, and it's just like, alright, fine, I'll open the chest. And you're just like, oh, I wasn't paying attention to you. Okay.
Yeah. Aldrin just kind of zones out looking at him. Meanwhile, he's just thinking about how he's going to kill Tiamat.
Oh god, the thunderstorm on his face probably would intimidate the guy.
Not to mention the smile.
Yeah.
But soon enough, they come into a relatively decent-sized town. And in fact, you might even recognize this. This was one of the stops that the ship made coming over from the Elvish lands before it arrived at Bacata. It stopped here for provisions. It stopped in many places, of course, but this was one of the places it stopped off to get fresh water and everything like that. And it was a relatively small but seemingly active port. This must be the Elefarius, as Adira said, or Elferus, as Galen had mentioned. And the wagon pulls in, and Galen says, "Well, it was nice meeting you folks. I guess, well, I'll see you around. Next stop, Terenia for me." He stretches a bit and steps out of the wagon,
Nah, that's the way
holding the chest under one arm, heading
Side
towards
note.
the port. Yes, Fion?
Side note: is anybody else getting big vibes of the guy who ran the in Scooby-Doo Zombie Island?
Oh, yeah. Now that you mention it.
It's been bugging me like the whole time. I'm like, God, I'm getting flashbacks.
I don't think I saw that one, but I'll try. I'll keep leaning into it. Which character was it, or which story element?
It just feels like the way that, his personality and the guy that ran the ship that hit to the island in Scooby.
Noted.
Yeah.
But anyway, he seems to be walking off. He affixes his 3-point hat on his head, and has the chest under one arm. He's got a bit of a whistle in his step as he
You said
heads
you're
down
going to
towards.
Terenia. I call after him.
Yeah?
walk after and be like, oh, I'm going with.
Yeah, we should come with. It'll be easier in the long run. Terenia can just teleport us straight to my friends.
Well, I get Bacata's on the way. I mean, I guess I can, or yeah, I can drop you off. Ain't no problem. Or you saying you want to go Drania? Are you following me, boy?
No, I gotta go talk to the nerds.
Yeah, I gotta talk to them nerds too. Let's go. I knew I liked you.
And I'll just follow him, go with him to Terenia.
Adira follows along, clinging to your hand. Just way too clingy. It's kind of weird.
Is there
And-
anything flying above us? Vultures, buzzards, Tiamat.
There's a lot of gulls.
Okay.
Like, a lot of gulls. But no, I don't see much else.
I
Okay.
like one of those options is just Tiamat.
Yeah.
Like Yonder would not have mentioned it unless you asked. You're like, is there anything? Is Tiamat above me?
Ah,
Yeah,
You
now
got me.
you've solved my puzzle.
You finally looked up. Dang it.
Just,
I thought that
it's been
300
too
foot
quiet
shadow
for
was
too long.
It is kind of different, Algin. You've gone from, like, there's been terrible, horrible things every step of the way, but now it's just, like, you've gone on a nature hike. Granted, your companion got turned to stone, but whatever.
Yeah.
You stayed at a bed and breakfast. Then now you're gonna go take a cruise. Like, this is strange.
Oh
It's
man,
been too quiet for too long, and Allergen's just nervous.
this is what getting into relationships does to people. She's already blaming him.
God, this is
suddenly
Allergen's
things are-
Twilight year.
Yeah, well, Algin's gotten to the point where everything is nice, and so he just assumes that it's a trap of some kind and begins
If we
Yeah.
just wait for the other person to finally spring the trap. He's just gonna snap one day and be like, "When are you gonna stab me?"
if we leave him too long, she's gonna have him wearing khakis and polos here pretty soon.
So good. Anyway, you begin to head towards the dock, and as you get closer towards it, Galen waves a big hand at a relatively small, kind of a slope bit of a ship, and says, "Hey, you Dane? You Dane? I rode ahead." And on the other side is a half elf nods. Aye? Are you Galen? Yeah, man, I'm Galen. All right, come aboard. Any
said
goods? Do you have luggages? No, I got these fellows here, and these folks with me. Passengers are acceptable, and you are ushered aboard a ship if you so choose. Do you want to do
No.
anything else in this town before Galen insists that you all leave?
Nothing that I can think of.
Okay. You set sail into the muddy sea. Next stop, Bakata. And we'll come back to that next week.
All right.
So,
When you said a
yeah.
half elf, I thought maybe it was Lee.
Is it Lee? I thought it was going to be Lee. Is it Lee? No? Is this Lee? No.